I just took some time, just cycling around, just trying to clear my mind. But it was quite difficult because I'm like, how will you navigate out of this space? Because now you're entering into something different than you aren't even expecting.
Well, a very, very warm welcome to the GoldMineShow. As always, we are absolutely excited to bring this show to you. We want to keep reminding you that there is greatness on the inside of you, and the last thing you ever want to do is to quit on it when you have been so equipped, my friend. Doesn't matter how things look like. Keep fighting, my friend, and just keep believing in the greatness on the inside of you, man. Today we have an amazing show, but just before I go there, want to welcome you to follow us on the GoldMineShow on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and everywhere else. Keep sharing this amazing content, and let's keep encouraging one another out there, man. Well, must just say today's show is one I've looked forward to doing maybe for more than 2 years, man. I mean, it's been a while. And I want to invite every one of you who thinks you've had a setback, man. Sometimes we give excuses. I couldn't go on. I had a setback. Now, you don't know what a setback is until you've been drawn out of an Olympic race that you have taken about 7 years to prepare for. When you know you've done all you could and you're so set for what's up ahead, put in the work, put in everything else. My guest has been right at that point, my friend. And I just want to invite you to just indulge us, man, on this conversation, man. I've looked forward to having this one, man, because no matter what your setback is, tune into this one because, man, you must rise past 8, man. My joy to invite and welcome my good friend, the legend himself. Makatiana, man. What's up, Baba?
How are you?
Good, man. Absolutely good.
Yeah, man, thank you. Nice to have me here.
Yeah. Man, I feel so good that you're here today, man.
Yeah.
This thing, we've looked forward to this thing for a while.
But I'm happy that at least we part at the right time.
Yeah, like finally, man.
Yes.
Like finally, man. Number one, congratulations for being cleared to get back on.
Oh, thank you.
On the stage. Must have been a long wait.
Ah, yes, it has.
How was that like, man?
I'll say it was difficult going through the process, trying to manage your emotions,
right?
Trying to balance out everything that you're going through,
right?
And trying to figure out life at the same time,
right?
But I'll say God has been in it,
right?
And it's been a journey and a half.
Yep.
But the good thing is that when you're closer to God, at least you get to have a clear vision. But we as humans, we're just seeing here. But God, I think alikuwa anaona mbele,
right?
So every step of the past 2 years has been, I'll say, difficult, but at the same time, it has been encouraging because of what's coming ahead.
Correct.
Yeah.
And Mbele in a kasawa.
Mbele kochonjo.
We're all set for this, yeah. Back with a vengeance.
Yes.
Mac is back. I saw you, man. Hashtag Mac is back.
Yes.
Mac is back. But I want us to go back, man, because, boss, I mean, there's this bit of your journey. Back to Tokyo 2021. Man, you have put in the work.
Yes.
You have gone through all the qualifiers.
Yes.
And I'm extremely excited, by the way, we are doing this at Nyao Stadium where you broke your first time record.
Yes.
Yeah? And I want us to go there. But man, Yani, you have put in all the work. All set for the Olympic. You have flown all the way. You even have a sponsor behind you.
Yes.
And Yani, you're looking forward to tomorrow to do the thing.
Yes.
Man, take us back there, man.
Well, the thing is that I've been working for 7 years just trying to qualify for the Olympics.
Right.
I tried for the 2016 Olympics, it failed.
Right.
Now coming to 2021, when I switched to my coach who was in South Africa.
Right.
I was seeing this thing as it's possible.
Right.
Because every time when you're trying. Yep. And you're like, will I ever reach there? Will I ever run faster like how people do outside?
Right.
So at this one point where I made a turn around, I was like, let's try this again one more time.
Yep.
Because I was more focused, I was more determined. Because when it comes to track and field,
Yep.
you're more mature as you grow.
Right.
So I was really excited.
So the more time you put at it,
Yeah,
the better you get at it.
Yes,
right.
the better you get at
right.
it. So this time I was like, I'm 100% sure
Yep.
that I'm going to get it.
Heart, mind, soul, everything. We are going for this thing.
Everything. I'm like, we're all foot, all gas.
All the way, and the gas on the pedal. Yeah.
Yes. So I looked forward to, especially that was my, I think, first year traveling, especially outside, going to try and look for qualification.
Right.
I get a chance to go to Uganda,
Right.
Switzerland,
Right.
Italy,
Right.
trying to look for qualifications,
Right.
and everything. I think it was going well, but it was more frustrating because I was not getting the time immediately.
Right.
Yes, and at least it reached at one point now we had the trials because I came from Switzerland. I think it was the weekend before the trials, and I was like, I have one shot, and if it doesn't happen, I'll be so grateful that I've enjoyed the season. I've run at least some 10-1, some 10-0s. And we were looking for 10-05.
And that's important because you see, sometimes you've got to also enjoy the journey.
Yeah, you have.
It's not just about the destination alone.
No.
You could get more destination and the journey as well.
Yes.
And I like that mindset, man.
Yeah.
I like that mindset.
Yeah, true. Because I was getting to meet different cultures.
Right.
Yeah. So coming back, I was like, I have one shot.
Yep.
And the good thing is that, I qualified at the very last minute at the trials, at the finals.
Right.
And it's something that personally it has never happened to me.
Yep.
And I just saw God in it. I saw God in it. And the good thing is that there were people behind the journey seeing how far I was traveling,
right,
and coming to qualify at one point. Yeah, even
so in this athletics world, all these things you're doing, Switzerland, is it tournaments you're doing, or
well, it's
what
not,
is that about?
It's not tournaments. It's there are meets that World Athletics normally put in their calendars.
Right.
Basically outside. Not
in different jurisdictions.
Yes, in different jurisdictions.
Right.
Country-wise, there are some in Italy, some in Switzerland. Because if you check the calendar, I believe even right now there's some even after the World Championship. There's some even goes all the way up to October.
Right.
So it's just up to your manager to look which can fit you, and funds, and then you go then participate.
Right. But your manager is all the way in South Africa.
Yes, my manager is in South Africa. My coach is in South Africa.
so how are you managing this?
The good thing is that thank God for WhatsApp.
Yep.
And so we get in touch sometimes.
Mtandao works.
Yes, Mtandao works.
Right.
Yeah, my coach have been. In fact, not even my previous. I've had 2 other coaches.
Right.
From abroad,
right,
and that's, I can sum it up, it's more than 5 years I've been working online coaching.
Right. 5 years.
5 years. And so it's been like 5 to 6 years I've been doing online coaching.
And you guys engage with your coach, you receive direction, instructions, and everything else?
Yeah. But now this one specifically, the one in South Africa, is the recent one that I'm working with right now.
Right.
We've been working with him, especially qualified the Olympics even without him being there physically, trying to help me here and there. So right now, even going forward, our plan is even just to meet, even if it's a month or 2 or even 3 going forward.
There are folks who will say, oh, because I haven't found these results, I'm not able to. Man, technology bridges this divide.
Yes.
And there's a whole lot that we can all do, man.
Yeah.
So sometimes we give ourselves excuses.
Yeah, sometimes we do, but again, you have to see how much, what's your purpose in it.
Right.
You get.
Right.
And if you see and if you're lying, there's some days, to be honest, where you wake up, you're like, woo, you're doing it again. But you still have to put in the purpose, because even for him, he's taking sleepless nights writing for you a program.
Right.
And it takes time to write for someone a program, even if it's a program that will last for him for the whole of 8 months until the day of the Olympics and the finals.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's just as invested.
And he's just as invested as you. So you also
he's literally taking the journey with you.
Yes.
Every step of the way.
Every step.
So you come from your different meets, and it's the day to check out whether we are qualifying or not. It was right in Nyasade?
No, it was in Kasarani.
It was in Kasarani.
Yes, it was in Kasarani.
So walk us through that day, because qualifying is a big deal. This is the one thing you've been pursuing, man.
The thing is, I had set my mind.
Yep.
In fact, I remember there's a friend of mine, I told him, if I don't qualify, I'd be grateful. Because I'm trying to put, not even measures, but I'm just trying to set my heart at peace. If it's something doesn't happen, at least God has been faithful through the journey until the very end.
Right. So you're managing expectations.
Exactly. So that if it happens, I'm confident that if it doesn't, I'm also in that safe space that, I've tried it.
Right.
And let's try it again.
I gave it my best.
Yes, let's try it again.
Right.
During that day, I remember I had an hamstring issue. And I was really panicking. Not even panicking because I'm running against other opponents, but I was panicking because of the time.
Right.
The time was something that was making me shake.
Right.
Because I remember my wife was in the stands, just trying to talk with coach here and there, what's happening, just keeping him updated.
Right.
I was with my physio at the warm-up track, and my hamstring was kind of giving me some problems, and I'm like, do I need to do this? So I had to tape my hamstring.
So it's coming at the wrong timing, man.
Yes,
when you really need yourself in TikTok
exactly.
shape. Yeah.
So I'm like, I need to put my hamstring in shape. So not in shape. I need to tape my hamstring so that it doesn't give me problems. So going into the starting line, I was shaking. I was really shaking. So I was shaking because again, my hamstring was in my mind. My hamstring was bringing me issues.
Right.
And then at the same time, I'm afraid that maybe I'm hoping that something doesn't happen in the middle of the run.
Right.
That I pull out. And then again, I'm hoping to hit the qualifying time. And
so on a race like that, is the biggest issue the guys who you're up against, or is it the time?
No, for that is, you haven't qualified before.
Right.
Like you've never qualified before. And then now you're looking for a time that your body hasn't reached yet.
Right.
So I'm like, if it's today, it's today.
Yep.
And then again, there's these mixed emotions of of course you want that time. And this mixed tension of course you want to qualify,
right? And
then again you still your hamstring is bringing you issue. As an athlete, when you're mentally not 100% when you have niggles,
right?
Yeah,
it sort of destabilizes
exactly
you. Yeah.
Yes.
But you also had a couple big names on the qualifying line with you.
Sorry,
you're taking on with some big names as well.
Yeah. At least the good thing, I had Ferdinand over there, so he was a guy who we pushed each other together. If you check the trials on that day, we pushed each other neck of neck. I've never run with someone until to the line. You lose everything until you ensure that both of you you've crossed that line.
Right.
But when I checked the time and I saw he entered with a 10:02.
Yep.
Since I was near him, I knew that I've qualified.
Right.
So I was just wanted to see if I was a 10:03 or a 10:04 or a 10:05.
Right.
Good thing I just hit the exact mark that was needed, 10:05.
And there we went.
And
we qualified. And you knew we are in.
I knew that I was in, and I was so shocked because I remember seeing my wife. She cried because this is something that and there's some few people also that shed some tears because they've just seen us walking through this journey and looking for this qualification, months in, months out, putting in the work, and then it happens at the exact time.
Whoa, what was that like?
I think it was shocking, number one, because I didn't expect to hit that time.
Right.
And especially my wife was very happy.
She was extremely happy.
She was. In fact, she came down and she was crying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was her and some other people that they knew about this journey.
Right.
So it was so emotional for everyone who saw how this journey is.
man, allow me, man. Yeah. You came with your wife around. She is around.
Yes, she is.
Would you allow me just to have her on set, man?
Yes, please.
I think it would really, some of these stories are best told by her, man. So Steph, man, allow me just to introduce Steph on set. Steph, good to see you, man.
Good to see you. Hi.
Karibu, man. So good to have you on the show as well, man. I'm sorry for the ambush.
No, it's fine.
It's alright.
I'm a bit used to it now.
Yeah. Well, on the GoldMineShow, man, we introduce folks on set just like that, man. We're so honored that then the legend would come with his wife. I don't know whether they met in athletics. I'm a high woman, but Steph, man, we were right on the day he qualified for the Olympics, hitting it at exactly 10:05.
Yeah.
And I just want you to walk to that moment. What was that like for you?
You make me cry.
It's alright, we can get some tissues.
It's been a journey. It had been a journey for 7 years, and we had tried and tried and tried. I think he's said it.
Yes.
And so the final, at the final moment, not even hits, it was finals of the final day, we just gave up and said, you know what, God, let your will be done.
Yeah. Like the last opportunity.
The last opportunity, and then he qualifies. And it was just an everything went I couldn't hear anything. I just saw the clock. And then now everyone was just shaking me like, yo, he did it. Yep. And then I just started crying. And I was like, truly God is faithful.
It must have been such a moment.
You can't make this stuff up.
It's true.
You can't make this stuff up. So there you are, Mark Maniani, you've nailed it.
Yes.
And you have your family around. Your wife is right next to you.
Yes.
How was that, man?
It was a dream come true, let me say that. I've always wanted, especially when I qualify and she's over there at the finish line.
Right.
Because I know I've been seeing top Olympic athletes, especially guys from outside, just winning, and then their family. You can just tell and you can just see there's support from behind your family.
Right.
Yeah, and there's something so important that, you know, they appreciate and they love what you're doing.
Right.
And yeah, and they are always behind you.
Right.
In every moment.
Steph, you've watched this preparation for the 7 years,
Yes.
whichever the portion of the 7 years.
Yes.
I don't know what you want to say about that preparation that led up until that moment.
It has been really tedious because you know, athletics, you have to invest before you see any returns.
Right.
And so as a wife, I had to understand that he was not going to provide the usual amount that is required to be provided, and just understand that a chunk of our money would go into athletics. So it had been tough financially, it had been tough mentally. I've seen him with injuries, him falling sick, you know, just trying to prepare for this thing and him not giving up on it. So it had been quite a journey for us. So seeing him do it, and he never missed training. Whether he was sick, if there's
He'll show up.
He'll show up.
Right.
He'll show up.
Put in the work.
Yes, and put in the work, whatever it is, even if it's just to go and stretch and do some core workouts and come out, he'd always be there for training.
Always reports to office.
If he was to be paid per hour, as if he's going to work, he'd be a billionaire right now.
Well, that day in monetary terms is coming. It is coming.
Amen.
It is coming. It is coming. It is coming.
We need it.
You need it. But I think it was also easy for you to understand because you're an athlete yourself.
Yes, that's what I think, one of the values we shared that really helps, and I thank God that we have that in common, because I know it wouldn't be easy for a spouse to see you wake up, spend money, and come back at the end of the month there's no money.
Right.
You know?
And you've just been spending money.
Been spending money.
Right. When does it give a return?
And I have to understand and put my needs aside for you.
Right.
So I think being an athlete and having an athletic background really helps, and understanding how this works, the investment and the returns. At the end of the season, you might not even bring in a quarter of what you have used. So I think that really helps, because
and I'm sure that support must have meant a lot.
Yes, it did.
Yep. So we have qualified then, and here comes Tokyo. We're on our way. So what happens in between the qualifier and getting to the Olympic stage?
What happens is that normally a team is being called into a camp.
Right.
So we stayed at Kasarani.
Right.
That's where we normally stayed. At least now we were more focused because there was training, and then we were staying just within the facilities.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So and then from there on, we moved from now that training camp into another training camp that the NOC committee arranged, which was a good thing, and I've never seen it happen. And it came through because we were in Kurume for like almost, I believe, a week and a half in Japan.
Okay.
Before nowadays to the
main thing.
To the main thing.
Right.
And it made us also again to focus, because we were there with, I think, rugby team, both men and women, and athletics. It was me, Ferdinand, there was another lady from 400. So it was a good experience. Now moving from one camp to another, trying to focus now for the main thing. And now I'm happy because after that, now we moved now from Kurume now into the athletics village, Tokyo.
Yeah.
And this is you carrying the Kenyan flag.
Yes.
National pride.
Yes.
On the greatest stage ever, man.
Yes.
Boss.
Yeah.
But just before we get in Kurume, I'm sure even in the course of you doing what you were doing, different parties saw you and said, man, we associate with you. I think some corporate sponsors came in too.
Yeah, and I was so glad that Safaricom came in, and we didn't see it coming. And the thing is, because we've been working behind the scenes trying to hustle money to go to other countries just to participate, but the good thing is that they saw our effort and they came through, at least at the just that appreciation of, and you've qualified and you're going to represent. Here's a token, here's a 1 million shillings, and I was really happy just to receive that prize. Just seeing that all the investments that we've done for the past 7 years, just someone just recognizes and just seeing
and investing in what you do. Goes a long way, I would assume.
Yes, it does. It
goes a long way.
It does, because again, it makes you think as an athlete, if you see it as an investment, that of course you're investing on your next,
Right.
because now going forward you need your next.
Right.
You get.
Right.
Yeah, and that's one thing that we've been sitting down and discussing. Yeah, just thinking of what's next year. So we try and put some few things here and there, and to see how we can achieve certain standards.
And we must thank all of those that come through and
Yes.
recognize such efforts and
Yes.
say, man, we want to invest. Because as you said, Steph, man, a lot of these crafts is a lot of investment before you can ever find a return.
Yes.
And sometimes when you don't find a holding hand that says we believe in your craft, man, you could easily quit along the way.
That's true,
You think
that's
it's just sucking out of you and it's hardly giving you back.
For sure, for sure.
Then we go to Tokyo, man. I mean, this is you, your Rabbity, your Ferdinand and crew.
Yeah.
And you're all set, man. I mean, in your mind, I'm sure you're all set, man.
Yeah.
This is one of those things you've looked forward to. It's every athlete's dream.
Yes, because
To
the
be-
Olympic is the number one.
It's the biggest.
Then World Championships comes in second.
There you go.
Yes, then the rest falls
We're
somewhere.
living our best life.
There you go.
Yeah.
So we get them, and a few things go a certain way, and I just want you to take us to Tokyo, because I think it was very defining in more ways than one.
Oh, who, me?
Yes,
Oh, yeah, sorry.
yes. Of course, I mean, I know she went through the motions, but
I think I
you
went
take it
through
off.
it more than him, but it's fine.
So you physically carried a lot of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So going to Tokyo, because it was like, I'll say 3 days towards the event. Yeah, so I was tested, and I was happy that at least I was tested with, the big things, the big people over there. Because I was texting my wife, I'm like, I think I've reached that caliber right now. Running at 10:05, I've reached somewhere where now I'm being tested with higher bodies, higher people. And
away from the cast, you're saying, man, being tested by the same guys who test Usain Bolt and
We're big shots now.
Big shots, yeah.
You're mindful of us.
Yeah,
that means
mindful of
they're
us.
doing something right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, we welcome them.
Yeah.
I told you, give them even hair samples.
yeah,
They're happy.
yeah.
Right.
So they took the sample like on Wednesday, just a few days before the event, and leading up to the event, I was notified. I took a rest before the main event because my program ended like on a Thursday. So now I was focusing. I had 1 day rest. And I was focusing now on the main event on Saturday. So I was thinking through what was going on, like how I was visualizing the race and everything. Now I've placed my mind on the event.
Right.
But now come that Saturday, I think around noon somewhere. They're not even close to midday.
Yep.
Now I was called by our officials, and they told me that I failed a test. So I checked the email and saw that I've been suspended. No, I wasn't able now to participate in the event, and this took me off because I was looking forward, and now this thing has thrown me off because now I'm confused. I don't know where it has come from, or maybe someone has spiked me or something like that. So many things were running in my mind.
The mind races everywhere.
Exactly.
Yani the moment we have worked for the last 7 years
Goes down to a
is
dream.
literally being taken off our hands.
Yes.
Not even while in Kenya. We've even already traveled. We're in Japan.
Yes, we're in Japan.
In
You've
6
stepped on
hours
you've
time.
stepped the land.
The start gun will be going on.
Yes.
It was just.
And then again, I think I was in heat 5 or something because I saw where I was standing. I was in lane 1. I saw everything. Then later on, my name was jacked out.
It was removed from
So you even knew the lane you're going to be
Yeah,
on.
I knew the lane. I was in lane 1.
We even had the running numbers.
I had
We have
the
them
running
till
number.
today.
Had everything.
It had
You're
the
fully
running
kitted.
number. It was
Fully
written,
kitted.
his name and the Tokyo 2020. We still
Yes.
have it till today because
You receive his text that
First of all, I was very anxious, of course, and I couldn't looking forward, so I couldn't contain myself. So what do? Take a nap, just to make sure the time passes. Yeah. So I wake up and I've missed calls, and I see my coach's text, and he's like, "Please call Mark, he needs you." So I thought maybe he just needs some motivation, maybe he's scared. So I went to Mark's inbox, and he just sent me a letter, and it's in red. Eden, you've been suspended. Now my husband is a prankster, so I thought he was pranking me because he likes joking with me a lot. So I was like,
So by the way, on the letter, does it indicate why you've been suspended?
I just saw you have been suspended. Yeah, it's indicated, but I thought it's him pranking me.
Right.
Because why would he be suspended? Is it COVID? Does he have COVID? Because that's the thing. If you had COVID, you'd be pulled out from racing. So I even thought maybe COVID. Like steroids was the last thing in my mind. So I call him and he's shaking, and I see his eyes, and then he starts crying.
Oh no.
Now, he doesn't cry a lot.
That's not him.
That's not him.
That's not your husband.
No, I'm the crier. Let's just make that clear. I'm the crier in the relationship. And I've not seen my husband. The last time I saw him cry was maybe my wedding, our wedding.
Right.
Yeah, and a few worship sessions here and there. But that's a different kind of cry.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so when I see him crying, that's when it hits me. This is serious. So I go back when we're on the call, I read the letter, and he starts telling me, the one thing I remember him saying over and over is, I didn't do it. And I remember telling him, of course you didn't do it. I believe in you. So I hung up. I called all my friends from church, my cell leaders, my cell groups, counselors, and I'm like, please come and help me pray because I don't know what's happening. And so they came in and they helped me read because, at that time you can't read anything. My coach is calling, and then of course this news is about to leak and we need to know how to manage it. We don't have a team by then, so it's just me and him. So we are praying, we are wondering what could this be? And for you to fail a test, it's not intentional. The way they put it out there is it has to be intentional, but it could be a number of things. It could either be contamination, you were taking medication and it was laced and the ingredients were not disclosed.
Right.
Or somebody spiked you, which is very rampant, or it's intentional doping. Now, for you to be intentional at Tokyo, you not in a bad way, you're dumb, because the technology there can detect less than a gram, and that's what was found in Mark's sample. Right. Something less than a gram, less than a grain of salt. It's not enough to give him performance, and enough to give him a failed test.
Right.
And so that's what everything was happening. So we thought somebody spiked him. That's your first thought. Our first thought.
Right.
Because he had not failed a test ever before, and those are the supplements he had been taking.
Right.
Yeah. And it couldn't have been meat, because meat can also cause contamination. If you eat meat that have been bulked up with steroids, you can fail a test. He had been practicing some vegetarian. There's something we were trying out. So he had been eating only fish and chicken, no beef, and only greens. And so,
because at a time like that, you're even very conscious about what he eats.
Exactly. Because
you're almost managing it yourself.
Optimum, and he'd send me photos just to make sure he's not eating red meat, of course, and he's not even a fan of red meat.
Right.
So that time,
so he remained very accountable even then.
Very accountable to the T.
Right.
And so, he went for the hearing, an expedited hearing to determine whether he'd compete at the Olympics. But you see, at that time,
so this hearing is in between the email and
the competition, which is,
so this is within the 6 hours before the race.
Within 6 hours, they were like, we'll give you an expedited hearing.
Right.
Should it be contamination, we'll allow you to compete, and then if you prove it, you keep your results. If you can't prove it, your results are scraped off.
Right.
But you see, when Mark was going in, we didn't know, because we didn't have any legal representation. We didn't know that was the reason for the hearing. So when he was going in, we just told him, go say the truth. Just say the truth. And he went in with the supplements, the list, and told, this is what I've been taking. You help me see if this could have caused the contamination. And so they were like, we've checked all your supplements and there's nothing that's raising a red flag.
And supplements are normal. I mean, there are people with vitamin D deficiency, they take supplements. Others have protein, iron deficiency. So supplement is not a big deal.
It's not a big deal.
We all take them from time to time for whatever it is.
Exactly, especially if you're training, because you're wearing your body out at a faster rate. Right. You need something to help you recover so that tomorrow you can go at the same rate as you did today. So supplements are normal.
So this is just even to help you recover. It's not even about boosting nothing or whatever. It's multivitamins.
Basically multivitamins. Whatever you get in the food, if it's not enough in the food, you get it from
that's why it's called a supplement.
Yes.
Exactly.
It's nothing to be crazy about. And so that's what we asked them, because that's what he had been taking. And he had not had any access. So in fact, his Google search from that day, because we had to go back and check this Google search, he had Googled what is methasterone, the thing he was found with. Like, he had no clue what that
this thing is.
Yeah, that we knew about methasterone on that day. Exactly.
So you walk into the expedited hearing, and there is like a panel out there. What happens?
The hearing, actually it was via call.
Right.
And I think there were 2 people, if I'm not wrong, because there was a lady there. So we were just trying to explain and just to see if I can compete. But unfortunately, they didn't allow me to compete, because they said that it doesn't look. It looks like intentional. Yeah, but it's not like it's something that it's in your supplement.
What does that mean? It looks intentional. That's what they said.
It was pointing. They said it's pointing towards a contamination case, but he has not been able to prove that it's contamination.
But now you see, if you want to prove, that means that you have to test.
So we have to go to the lab.
Exactly.
Yes.
Right. And there's no way the lab results are going to be out in 6 hours.
The goalpost keeps moving.
Yes, you can't do that in 3 hours.
You can't do that in 3 hours.
Right. So they then determine that
he's not going to compete.
That I'm not going to compete.
So they pull him out.
Yeah.
And at that point in time, they say they agree it is contamination.
No, they said it looks like contamination because of the traces that was found.
The traces found
on the samples.
Everything was leading towards contamination. The traces, the everything, and it was an oral, not because his blood was clean. They did a blood and the urine sample. The blood was clean. If it was an intentional, it would have also reflected on his blood. If it was something used with an IV. And so they said, we'll give you an answer. They ended the meeting and said, we'll give you an answer in less than an hour, so that we know. So we agreed. He just changes and stays in faith, because I told we are
ready to compete.
Ready to compete till the last minute until they say no. So he went to his room and changed, and with his bag ready, waiting for the email. Yeah.
And eventually the email comes in an hour's time.
Yes. Not even an hour. I think it took 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
Yeah. Roughly. And the email comes.
Yeah.
So you're just keeping on checking for emails.
Yeah.
So what's a new email that comes?
Yeah, so the email said that, in fact, I didn't even understand because I had to use someone to explain to me what do they mean. You get? Yeah, so they said that I can't compete. There's some heavy English that was used there, so I couldn't understand. So anyway, I was like, you know what, it's fine. Then I'll have to prove where this thing came from. Yeah.
And just like that, a man that has invested so much, now can't participate in this race.
Yes.
And just like that, lane 1 is taken out.
Empty.
It was empty.
It actually went as empty.
Yeah. And Supersport said his DNS did not start. I remember.
And thanks for bringing that up, because and you just talked about it's about to leak, the media is about to carry this story. So how did the news break?
It was bad because it was embarrassing, especially on us and on the country, because so many people believed in him and he's a man of faith. I know he's mentioned Safaricom came, but right before Safaricom, we were approached by a betting company. You can scrape this off.
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
I'm not going to mention the name. But because of what we do and our faith and our beliefs, and we teach teenagers, and they have issues with gambling. So even if we don't gamble, we cannot promote. We cannot. They even tried and told us we'll only put the logo, and we'll make you CSR. And it was a huge amount money we've never ever in our wildest dreams never handled.
And it's being offered to you.
Yes, and that was a starter. There was gonna be a retainer and then an annual, depending on how we want. Like it was up to us. So we were like, and that time we didn't have gas. Our gas just ran out.
And it has a way of running out at the wrong time.
At the wrong time.
We refused the money, not because we had money. It's because
of values and what you stand for.
No, and we cannot cause our teenagers, the high school ministry, to start stumbling because of our greed or our. So we said no. And so that story spread. And now they're like, how can you refuse money and then go and cheat at the Olympics?
Because as far as they're concerned, you're cheating.
You're cheating.
You
That's
doped.
a cheat. You doped. But now the thing is,
and even you have been proven guilty of doping.
Exactly.
As far as they're concerned.
But now there are some media personalities, like example Kararadul, who was like, it doesn't make sense for you to refuse money and go to Olympics that doesn't pay for you to go cheat. Things weren't adding up. And she had met us and she knew our values. She knew we were not going to do we wouldn't just accept any money. So that's when she said she needed answers. Things weren't adding up, and now that's when the support overshadowed the backlash. There was backlash at first, and then people are like, no, wait. These people are not like this. This is what they have.
We know them differently.
We know them differently. And so that's when the support now started overshadowing the
power
backlash.
of just character.
Thank you, Lord.
The power of character.
Exactly.
A good name.
It's actually people defending you.
Yes, we didn't need to go out. We just released a statement and we were strongly on the statement saying we did not dope. We don't know what happened, but as far as we're concerned, we didn't dope. So we are just waiting for the
and
right.
You also said you will cooperate with the authorities.
We have
to go and find out whatever. I read that statement.
Yes, we have to cooperate with them. They're put there for a purpose. We support what they do. So we'll cooperate. We'll do everything. But as far as we're concerned, we did not dope. That's all we did, and we shut it down. But now people are fighting for us
because they knew you.
They knew us. Yeah, they knew us.
Mark, it must have been tough being at the center of that controversy.
Because I think my wife knows me, I'm missing to a public sana. I'm more
athletes, and you do your thing.
Yes, I do my thing, then I leave. So it was quite difficult, especially when Jinako says it's the news being talked all over. And negatively. But the good thing is that the 95% of guys were like, no, something is off. And that's one thing at least Ilipinanieka in check, because they were like, at least how I've presented myself and the character that I hold is something that ilini defend kabisa. So guys were like, there's something that is totally off over here. So I've seen people who have doped, and I've gone through the comments and I've seen how people are talking. It's not good. It's not good. Especially outside, people are like, like, okay, finally ameshikwa, things like that. We knew it.
Because people knew. We knew what your character is.
But for this one,
it was a different testimony.
Like, no. If there's something we didn't see coming, it's this.
Yes.
Yeah. So that helped.
And actually, Tess puts it very nicely. She says, a good name.
A good name should be desired.
Above all.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that said, still, I guess it must have been really turbulent inside.
Yes.
And sometimes we do put a strong face, but inside, I mean, we are bearing the brunt of dashed dreams, of efforts put in that we are not able to realize the effort. And I'm just curious, man, how did you go through and navigate that space, man?
I'll say, especially since I was away, because I was really eating at 3 a.m. in the morning, because I didn't squat at all. Either you're in a different country because you don't know it, because of course the news is already out. All athletes in that village were like 5,000 people. Everyone knows, oh, so and so is out because of 1, 2, 3. But I was eating in odd hours. There was a time where even there were some bikes that normally the village offered, like if you want to use if you don't want to walk, you can cycle around. So I just took some time, just cycling around, just trying to clear my mind. But it was quite difficult because I'm like, how will you navigate out of this space? Because now you're entering into something different than you aren't even expecting. So even coming back, we even had to use a different strategy of entering the country, because the whole media was waiting, because they knew at one point which flight I was using.
So they're tracking it down.
Yes.
So at that time we had already engaged a lawyer. Thank God for Sarah. So she called her contacts at JKA and said this guy can't pass through this terminal. So they sent in, through legal processes, a car to pick him from the runway. And then it took him to a different terminal, and then he told his roommate to come with his bags the next day. So he snuck out of the airport.
So the media is waiting for you on that side. You already exited a long time ago.
Yes.
But then how long more did you have to stay at the village?
You can't stay because of COVID restriction. Once your event is done,
you have to live in 48 hours.
So you didn't even stay long there.
Thank God for those
you have to live in 48 hours.
I mean, it must be tough, really, just watching. And at the top of the show, I talked about setbacks, man. And every time I think about a setback, I do not know of a bigger setback than just being yanked out of an Olympic stage. The globe is watching, man. I mean, I think about the number of eyeballs that are following what's going on, man.
There's even an article by ESPN.
About concerning this?
Yeah.
What did they say?
A Kenyan Athlete, and it's just Mark's photo, and I'm like, I really wanted to be on ESPN at one time in my life, but not like this.
For the right reason.
For the right reason.
It's tough.
It was really hard.
It's tough.
It was hard. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't stop crying. I think I was the stages of grief. I think we were both crying, laughing, crying. It was a mess.
In fact, I'm curious, how did you handle it?
It was horrible. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. I was just crying. Because I was like, God, you're the one who took us to Tokyo. We know that for sure because the qualification was a miracle.
Right. Yeah. Last minute.
It was last minute.
Right.
It was last minute. If he was to fail a test, I remember asking God, he should have failed in Nairobi, where it's just us and small people with
small profile.
We finish it here, but why would it have to happen at the the largest stage in sports? Not only athletics, in sports.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I just had to trust that God has something bigger for me. Somehow it will work out for good. And even though I don't know right now, it will work out for good. So, scripture.
Right.
I just had to not read, listen to scripture.
Right.
Hear Psalms, just listen to Psalms constantly and having a good community. I think we had done that right, establishing a good community before calamity strikes.
Right.
So that having those systems in place,
it came through.
It came through because they'd be like, "Hiya, you need to eat." They'd sit there until I eat, or they're like, "Hiya, you need to go sleep." So I didn't even sleep at home. I had to go to my friend's house. She came and picked me with her husband. Yeah.
You know, part of why I was even very keen just to do this show is because, I mean, life happens. Yes, life, and by the way, life happens to all of us. Yes. And sometimes we face setbacks. And sometimes we have anchored, quitting, giving up, not continuing because we experience a setback. And honestly, I can say, man, I do not think of anyone more qualified to speak into setbacks. I don't know of anyone more qualified to talk about rising past setbacks than yourself. I mean, it is not big. You know, sometimes our setback is CG 3 guys new, CG 10 guys new.
Yes.
You told my friend.
Yes. My people gossip, my family, my in-laws. Yeah, you know that.
Man, I mean, Tess, you make it sound easy, but this is Olympics.
Yes.
Yeah.
How? I mean, what carried you through?